Greetings, it's Pastor Ings. It's Tattoo tonight. We are live from Momentum Studios, actually from Davy Boy Records Studios. We are live, and we want you all to see here, adjust some of these. Tattoo stands for tough answers, tough topics, often overlooked. So we want you to come in and join us tonight. We got some things we want to talk about. We're going to share regarding tattoo. There's some exciting topics we always like to share and talk about. So I want you to come on in. I'm going to send out a notification that we are in fact live. Let's see here. Happy Thanksgiving to the followers. I ask that you would subscribe to our tattoo channel. Give some thumbs up. See here. Happening now. Okay, I'll grab the actual YouTube channel. Good to see you. Remember, tattoo stands for tough answers, tough topics, often overlooked. I'm sending out a link to our audience. Try this again. Tattoo is live now. Jump on. We'll see if that goes out. Then I'm also going to share it on Facebook and let people know to write a post. Good. So it's Thanksgiving week. I hope that you all are in a good place. If you're safe, wearing your mask, not touching your face, and doing all the things that are important. Social distancing, all the things that are required for you to avoid spreading this virus. We're yet still in this pandemic, so we're trying to keep ourselves safe. And the only way you can do that is by following the CDC guidelines, and even the mayor, the governor, making recommendations that you don't travel. I know it's kind of hard, isn't it? You want to see your parents, your loved ones, especially if they're out of town. And we've been through a lot this year, so I can hardly fault people for wanting to travel and wanting to get out. And so, that's understandable. That happens. But along with that happening, we have to do it safely. And I think we can do it safely. Even the traveling, you make sure, you limited touch. The things that you put your hands on, be very limited to that. Let's see here. Give me a second. Very limited to what you put your hands on. I'm often very limited to what I touch. Even before the pandemic, I was always the type of person who, I have hand sanitizer in the car. And also, I have I have my hand sanitizer in the car. And even, for instance, even when I go into the bank, I bring my own pen. Isn't that something? I've always done it. It's something that over the past year I've kind of started doing that. And because, there's a lot of germs out here. And so the best way to mitigate, there's a lot of ways to mitigate germs if we think about it. When I say limited touch, sometimes we're just so accustomed to touching a lot of surfaces and things. You don't have to do that. Be mindful of your hands. And even if you have, consider your hands as contaminated now. So I won't touch my face. And, I even carry a little handkerchief so that when I may need to wipe my eye or blow my nose or maybe wipe my mouth, or sometimes, through the course of an event, if you've gone to the market, you're out the house, and maybe something may have blown in your eye, and you're, easily you take your finger and go in your eye. But if your hand's been touching things, that's how you catch the virus. What's the likelihood that you have touched it? Maybe not even that virus. It could be other things that you have touched, but you don't realize it. Someone else who's very, very sick, maybe they coughed in their hand, and maybe they had a disease or whatever the case may be, and then they touch some surface and then you touch it. Well, consider it's on your hands. But if you wash your hands, you sanitize your hands, you immediately remove that. So I can imagine that, perhaps there were times or maybe sometimes you ever touch something that was kind of moist. It's like, ooh, what did I just touch? Whether it's a shopping cart or you open up the door of a restaurant or a building you're going into, and somehow there was something wet on the handle. You don't know what that was. You really don't. And that's happened to me many times. It's times that, looking, it's like, what in the world is going on here? So over time, I made precautionary measures my own self. And, as soon as I get to the car, I'm lathering up with hand sanitizer. And then when I get home, I wash my hands. Even after I wash my hands, then I will, I'll even put alcohol and swab my cell phone as well. All right. So these are some of the things that we do but I believe if you have to travel, consider those things. All right. Don't do a lot of touching, and, go straight to your mom's house or wherever the gathering is. You can be safe. And ultimately, if you don't have to travel, if you can stay home, stay home. Be encouraged to do that. All right. So one of the things we always want to share is, and I'll go here to let me open it up first. Make it big. We do have a cell phone app, and I'd like to share it with you. What you do, you text, hi, my name is, whatever your name is. Please send me the tattoo app. And the number is 484-655-2994. And you send it to, once I receive that, I will send the app to your phone, and I ask for you just to install the app. And in the app, you have a lot of promotions. We have pizza promotions, free books, and other updates, that the movie tickets and other updates that are associated with tattoo. One of the books that we are working with now is Barack Obama's A Promised Land. We are working to offer that book now. So if you, again, you have to communicate to me via the app. Once the app is installed on your phone, as a matter of fact, I'll put the promotion in there that we are promoting Obama's book, A Promised Land. And you can get that, but you have to communicate within the app saying, hey, please send me, I would like to have the book. And say the title of the book, A Promised Land. And obviously I'll need your information, where to ship the book to, etc. One of the things about tattoo, we always want to raise the awareness on what's happening in our world, in our environment. That's what Tough Answers, Tough Topics, Often Overlooked is all about. We're always talking about something that's, that was often overlooked. Often, if when we show up to the rec center, when we are physically together, I usually show up at 7. The pizza shows up around 7:30, 7:15. Then around 7:30 we begin. And there's always a good subject matter that I like to share with the community. It's principles that govern everyday life, right? So we have these principles, and if you work the principle, it'll really cause you to be prosperous. Some people don't live by principles. Principles are guidelines. How should I live my life? And when you're presented with different situations, you already have a template on how it is, a pre-designed behavior pattern or response to what you're looking at, what you're dealing with. And typically those are principles. Principles, how to respond to difficulty, how to respond to loss, how to respond to tragedy. So one of the things that when Barack Obama was in office, they had put in place ways to work with a pandemic, or if America was exposed to an infectious disease. Well, they had institutions in place that were designed to work with that, right? Template, that same template I'm talking, which I'm using it as a principle tonight, as what we're teaching are principles that if you apply them to your life, it can prevent a lot of things. All right. But the analogy that I use with our United States government, when Barack Obama was in office, he had put things in place to prevent the widespread of an infectious disease. It just so happened when Donald Trump got in office, he removed all of those principles, if you will. He removed those institutions and things that were set in place for our protection. Guess he thought we didn't need them. And perhaps even in order for them to exist, there's financing associated with it. If you stand up certain institutions and things for people to do, there's you got to pay them, right? And there's money associated with having that set up that way. And so I guess, well, I'm being objective by saying it this way, but I know what the reason was, because he so hated Barack Obama, and so he did it for spite. But what I was going to say objectively is that sometimes you think you want to save the government money, so you look, because there's millions and billions of dollars being spent for so many things, and our deficit is so high. And though, if any economist would at least attempt to find ways to save money, just like you do. If you are strapped for cash and you do work, you get paid, but you still, you keep running out of money. Your debt is so high. So it's incumbent upon you to sit down and review, what can I get rid of? What do do you have, I don't know, if you have cable television, do you watch it? Maybe the type of job you have, you're traveling all the time. So who's watching the TV? And if you're home by yourself, so you're paying all of that money for cable television that you don't even use. You're hardly ever home. Well, that's one bill you can get rid of. See what I'm saying? Begin to prioritize things. Now, that's being objective. But that's not the reason why but certain things we consider are fixed cost. See, now I'm speaking economics now. Fixed costs are those things that have to be there. You got to pay your rent. You got to have a place to live. You have to buy food. You have to eat. There's no getting around that. You have to eat. And there's other things, water, gas, electric. Those are called fixed costs. That means no matter what's going on, those things have to be there, and you have to pay for them. You can't just opt not to have electric for 6 months to save money. You could do it, but it's, that's not, no. Electricity is considered a fixed cost, all right? But in either case, I use the analogy to say those things were put in place, and they were effective during the Ebola outbreak and some of the other things that happened when Barack Obama was in office. We didn't have to walk around wearing a mask. We were aware of it. We saw the outbreak of Ebola. We saw the outbreak, saw it on television. We know what was happening over in Africa and other places. And we had things in place. All right. And so it is with principles in your life. You put principles in place, they will protect you from things unseen. Things that, I can make it another analogy, like our immune system. They talk about the vaccine. They're preparing a vaccine for this coronavirus. And a vaccine, often a vaccine is designed to give your immune system the pattern how to fight the disease, because it's a foreign substance. So when a foreign substance enters in your body, if you know anything about your immune system, if you have a healthy immune system, it'll fight it and it'll eradicate it. And often when it's fighting that disease, you may be real sick, or you may be in bed for about a day or so. It's, oh man, what's going on with me? I can hardly get out of bed. My stomach's in knots, and I feel so tired, because your body is working. It's fighting a disease. It's winning. If you have a healthy immune system, it's winning the fight. But while it's doing the fight, it may take 24 or 48 hours to whoop that virus that has entered into your body. Now, what a vaccine will do, let me go back before I go to the vaccine. You're talking about whooping the virus. So your body doesn't know how to handle it. All it knows is a foreign substance, and it has to get rid of it. That's in layman's terms. I can't give you medical terms. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physician, but it pretty much goes like this. Your immune system, a foreign substance enters in there, and your antibodies will see that and say, whoa, what is this? We got to get rid of it. And so, your body begins to react and removing that thing out of the bloodstream by breaking it down, the molecules, and breaking it. Isn't it amazing how our bodies are designed? But it doesn't know how to break it down. So it's actually learning on the fly. Again, if you have a healthy immune system, it will whoop. It'll whoop it. You'll win. Sometimes it may take a week because it didn't really know how to fight this thing. But once it has fought the fight and won, it creates somewhat of a template, and your body remembers. So if that foreign substance were to ever to enter again and be exposed or recognized by your antibodies, it's like, oh, I remember what we did last time. And you often will be healed a lot quicker. Okay, so What a vaccine will do, it actually gives you the template on how to whoop the virus. It gives at least gives your body an opportunity to create that the principle. All right, the principles are designed. It's rules to live by. All right. Now I'm using principle, in correlation with these things I talked about, the CDC and other things for a nation to fight infectious disease. I use that example. And then I also use the example of our antibodies and how there's certain diseases that have entered into it. That's why when we get vaccinations as young children, it's to fight a lot of disease like polio and some other things that are still out here. But it's just that if you've ever come in contact with it, it doesn't make you sick because you've become immune to it. You have your antibodies are up to snuff, and it knows how to ward off that disease. So it is with principles. If you live by principles, principles are designed to give you a template on how to better approach life. So when there is a loss, see, if you've been through a lot of funerals, you begin to learn something. Maybe no one has ever died in your family before, but if you live long enough, that's part of our human experience. When our loved ones die, everyone's going to die. No one lives forever. Not in this life, anyway. And so, if you've never been to a funeral before, at least the first time you go, and maybe it was your uncle or somebody elderly in the family that died by natural causes or what have you, it's still devastating. It's an experience, and it's something that you have to learn. And you watch how the family responds. You dress different, and it's things that are said, where the funeral is, and then there's the burial. There's all of these different things that happen. And so if you've been to one, you've been to another, then over time, when loss comes, it's always going to be devastating. So I'll tell you that. It's always going to be something that's sad and difficult to deal with. So it's no, easy way to, I'm not making light of, when it happens again. But now at least you've been there, done that. So you already know the series of changes you're going to have to go through, because of the loss. I've been here before. It's like, okay, here we go. And this is how we handle it. So it doesn't necessarily take you by surprise on your system and your emotions mentally. All right. But there's principles that are there as well. So when we talk about tough answers, tough topics often overlooked, we are giving out principles that govern everyday life. Here's the book. If you want this book, you need to text me. You need to get the Tattoo app. That's the rules of engagement. I want you on this here YouTube channel to subscribe to our YouTube channel and give me some thumbs up and give me some comments in there. All right. The number is 484. Again, I'll show you one more time. You get the Tattoo app. You need to text to this number. Hi, my name is, what your name is. And please send me the Tattoo app. The app is free of charge. You install it on your phone, and what you see there is a picture of a young man from Africa. And he actually built a generator in his community. This was a few years ago. I shared this with the youth to inspire them to be creative. And I don't know what this young man's doing today. I'm quite sure he actually did a TED Talk before. It was on national television and shared some of how he used his ingenuity. It was very beneficial to his community. All right. So once you get the app installed on your phone, you could actually view these lives from the Tattoo app, and anything else that I promote, like some of the music that I share here. Some of these things are associated with our Tattoo channel. And I send out promotions so you can also have them. All right. So let's go into our lesson. Let me prepare you for that. What I want to talk about tonight. Tonight we're sharing a topic we started on last week, which is entitled Self-Actualization. Take a look at this. Self-actualization, the real me. Who am I? That's always a big old question. You know, a lot of times mistakes are made because you just don't know who you are. And you're just trying to feel your way through life. And it's a shame when that happens too long. At one point, you should know who you are. At one point, you should have been able to make an assessment of who you are. The meaning of life. What is life? All right, so you're thinking about this. So the definition here is self-actualization. This occurs when a person is able to take full advantage of who they are, your talents, your gifts, which you realize. And I always say those are two different things. Also your purpose, while being completely mindful of your limitations. Because when you can balance, when I can balance my greatness with my faults, and at the same time maximize my possibilities as to who I can be, when I can be it, where I can be it, and with whom I can be it with. Because wherever you are determines what lives or dies inside of you. Okay? There's a pyramid associated with this. As you can see, self-actualization, actually I've got it the other way around, where physiological is actually at the bottom. You have that, you have the physiological, you have the safety, love, and belonging, esteem, and then at the very top is when you self-actualize. It's like, I'm here. Now, things may change around you, but it's a beautiful thing to get a grasp on who I am. Who am I? And then to become comfortable with who you are. All right? So here it is kind of spelled out. The physiological is the environment. We know environment has a big deal, has a lot to do with what you can become and how you perceive life and what you adopt into your reality. If you lived in Africa today and you lived in a hut, and I'm sorry, every time we talk about Africa, you always think about, the dirt in the hut, and that's not all of Africa. There's, Africa is a very rich continent, and the countries there are very advanced, just like the United States. But there are some parts that are not so. But if you lived in either one of those indigenous cultures where they do live, in an environment where there's just, the grounds aren't paved like you're used to. You're a city person. Where here you got more, you're in kind of a woodsy environment, and the electricity is scarce. I guess this is more of an impoverished area. But if you grew up like that, it's what you're used to. And out of that environment produces a certain kind of you, all right, as opposed to being in a city and having access to all this technology, having a cell phone or iPhone even at that. You have some places in the earth, they don't have iPhones. To have an iPhone, it's almost like you're rich. You must be a wealthy person to have that. Well, over here in the States, you can have an iPhone and not have a job and not have much money coming in, but somehow you acquired that. It's environment. So the physiological, I could go on and on and on about that. But it's as basic as your water, your warmth, your rest. And I broaden that to talk about the framework in which you live in. All right. The next one is safety or sustainability. All right. That's really, really important to understand how safe you are mentally, emotionally, and physically. The third one is love or belonging, which is the intimate relationship, family and friends. It has a huge impact on self-actualizing, because in order you need relationships. You value relationships. I know I do. I value my friends, because your friends help stimulate you. They help promote love, help promote the best you. It's a beautiful thing. It's a proverb, in the Bible says that he who has friends must show himself friendly. You have friends, you should value your friends. Sometimes we don't value friendship until later in life. Then you find out how valuable it is. For someone to say a kind word to you, someone who can give you a hug, right? A genuine hug without any ulterior motive behind it, because they just really love you as a person. And that communication of love, it just feels good. As I said last time when I was sharing this topic, we all need love. We need love. We're made to be recipients of love. And when we don't have it, it has an adverse effect on our psychology. Yes, it does. Sometimes you can be a lot more mean and distant and cold. And what's the other word I'm looking for? Resentful. Because the love factor is not being satisfied. I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about just relationships, right? As we share here, intimate relationships with family and friends. When you're satisfied with these things, when that void has been filled, it balances you. No man's an island. If you are without those things, you don't have any family, you have any friends. It makes for a different you. All right, let's talk about esteem, which is prestige or feeling of accomplishment. As I shared before, I believe, even as we share these principles, one of the things that Tattoo wants to inspire is the youth to achieve. That's why I ask you to read more books and to broaden your vocabulary, broaden your horizon, broaden your mind about the world. And it broadens the spectrum of space and areas where you can make accomplishments. If you see a bigger world and you read about the world and you find out there's other areas that you can venture into and experience accomplishments there too. It doesn't have to just be on a basketball court. See, sometimes you get a sense of self-esteem when the b-ball is in your hand and you made the shot and everybody's like, whoa, and it's like, yeah, well, that's good. That will build your self-esteem. But there's other things, right? Because that only lasts as long as you're on the court. But as soon as you go home or go wherever it is that you stay, and if your environment is in such a way that you have neglected to build something great by being responsible, taking on responsibility, it can be just as much as cleaning a room, cleaning the outside of the house, sweeping up the leaves, cutting the grass, putting out the trash, and other things, cleaning the house and getting an appreciation, getting the accolades from your parent. So, you did a good job in here. You did. So that's one area. And you could build that same type of celebration. It may seem like a small thing, but it's important to have a good work ethic. If you wash the dishes, do a good job at it. If you mop the floor, move chairs and tables out off the floor. So mopping around everything, move everything out, or move the table on one side of the room and do a good job. Sweep the corners, get all the trash up first, and then get the hot water and mop it up. Rinse out the mop cloth and the mop head, and mop over it again. And sometimes after you use all of that bleach and and cleaning product to clean the floor, then you throw out that old water and put some clear water in there with a little bit of bleach. Rinse off that mop head and go over the floor once more and just get a real nice clean rinse over it. Take pride in what you do is what I'm saying. Something as simple as that. It helps build your self-esteem. You know, how many times I feel great about everything that I do successful. You know, usually when I usually spend about 2.5, almost 3 hours cutting the grass and doing yard work on my property. So I have to do the back of the house, front of the house, and there's a lot of grass to cut. Then get the weed whacker, get the edges and all of that, and I blow the blower, and by the time I'm done, it's such a professional job because I'm into details like that. And a lot of men do it. You know, when they're finished cutting the grass or whatever they do, they like to stand back and look at it. Look what I've done. Sometimes sometimes I'll have my music and I'll just sit on my stoop. And sometimes my neighbor does the same thing too. After you cut the grass, I mean, you put the work in, right? You're all sweaty, and now the job is done. And now you're looking at you cleaned up well. You don't have any grass all out in the street and what. Because I don't do that. I take the blower and blow all the loose grass into the street, and then I sweep it up. I don't just leave it out there. Sweep it up, put it in a bag, and even the car in front of the house, I'll move that car so I have everything's clear so I could just do my work. And man, when I'm done, it's a picture perfect job. And that's the way I am with everything that I do. That's called having a good work ethic. But what it does, it builds your self-esteem. Now, why am I talking about that? Because one of the things I like to encourage the young men in the community, we're still dealing with a lot of homicide rates, gun violence in the community. And a lot of these things are perpetrated by young men who their self-esteem is low and their sense of accomplishment is small. It's tunnel vision. Because I guarantee you, if you have a broader spectrum of areas where you accomplish things and people are giving you great accolades for what you've done, you would be less likely to do things that will put yourself in harm's way, that you destroy that. Prime example, if someone has, I don't know, if they offer you a job to work at a bank and, you're a young man and they allow you to be a teller. So now you're a teller and you dress nice, you look good. You got a promotion. They gave you more money. They made you the lead teller. Just think about that. A position like that, it has a sense of prestige. I'm the lead teller, the guy here who's handling the money for the bank. It ain't my money, but the fact that they entrust me to be able to be the one to handle such a matter. With a position like that, would you be so inclined to get a gun and go down in the hood and spray bullets into, somebody's house or something stupid like that? Would you do that? A person in that category, they wouldn't be so inclined to do that. Why? Because their self-esteem, their sense of accomplishments, it's not in one area. There's several areas, right? Maybe, not only on a job you're doing well, but you have a fiance. And maybe you guys had a little baby and you're proud to be the father that you are, and you're building a family, right? And because of the job you worked hard, man. You saved your money and somebody gave you, you got your first mortgage. You got a home loan for a house. So, wow, the stakes are high. But this is great. This is good news. You're accomplishing things. A lot is relying on you, your existence, having that job and being good at that job, paying those payments and having that money. A lot of that is a lot. And now you got the baby coming. You got the little boy or little girl. They love you. They look forward to seeing you come home and taking them out and doing all of these things. The stakes are higher. The feeling of accomplishment is such when you see them doing well in school, when you sat with them throughout the night and to make sure they did their homework, and now you see them academically inclined, and you take some pride, and you should, and credit in that. What does all these things do? Well, it bolsters your self-esteem. It's kind of hard to feel beneath the circumstances when you have all of these sense of accomplishments in your life. It doesn't mean any of them are perfect, but they're accomplishments nonetheless. The very fact that you got a raise. How long have you been on that job? We've been there for 10 years. Hey, that's a sense of accomplishment. Or what we're advocating for, if we can inject, infuse the hood and these young fellas in the community, number one, to see these things. That's why I ask you to, stay connected to Tattoo. You see it, gain an understanding about it. It inherently, I'm telling you, nobody has to sit you down. Nobody has to take your gun from you. Nobody has to, you don't have to do a whole lot of talking. Inherently, once your self-esteem is up and your feeling of accomplishment and prestige, you're hot stuff on a different realm. I'm not talking about hot stuff in the street. So you can be hot stuff and still weld a gun, because you're hot stuff to the fellas in prison and to the guys on the yard. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, that's why I said, when you read more books, when you read and broaden your horizon, read someone else's story. Like we were offering the book, Jay-Z, Made in America. He was at the bottom, now he's here, right? But when you read his story, you see how, that's another example. I can use Jay-Z, a fella who used to sell drugs at one point down in the hood. But as he began to gain more responsibility, it all depends on how you do it. You don't have to be a rapper. The point is, I'm not a rapper today, and I've acquired a lot in my life. An equivalent to like Jay-Z and some others, not financially, not yet, but the self-esteem, the self of accomplishment, yes. Plus, I'm a musician. I have my studio and I do all of that. But and we drop music. I'll often share, and I'll share some of it before we're done hearing it live. But let's take Jay-Z for an example. Do you think he and of himself is more? What's the likelihood that he would brandish a gun and walk down in the streets of South Philadelphia, spraying bullets and doing something? He wouldn't do that. It's too much at stake. His sense of accomplishment is such that you'll be less likely to put yourself in harm's way like that. That's why when we talk about self-actualizing, part of this is to build your self-esteem. And inherently, it causes you to just do things better. I'm telling you, you'll do things better. Nobody have to pull your ear. So, and then we talked about, and then the last part of that is self-actualization, realizing your personal aptitude and potential. So all of that comes into play. All of that comes crashing in. And you learn how to be honest with yourself. The physiological component is the branch of biology that's dealing with functions, activities of living organisms, and their parts, including all physical and chemical processes. Now, that's the one of the definitions there. We're going to build upon this. I said that last week. But essentially, when we use such a word and physiological, we're dealing with these biological and physical elements that impact your life. The living organism, you are a living organism in and of yourself. So you have to take that into account, and how you and how you see these things and appropriate them. Safety, the state of being safe, freedom from occurrence of risk of injury, danger, or loss. All right, that has to be something that you have to build that, you see. And you have to be honest with yourself as it relates to your safety. We can correlate, we can inject the importance of wearing a mask, washing your hands, not touching your face, social distancing, stay home as much as you can. This plays into your safety. It does. You right now it's just not wise to expose yourself to too many environments. You'd be more likely to come in contact. If you limit, like, myself, I'm pretty limited when I go out. It's a blessing I'm able to work from home. But when I do go out, I go to the market, or I go to this one store that I'll go to. It's about 3 stores that I'll pretty much frequent throughout the week. But even then, when I go there, I go there and I come home. And try not to hang out too much unless on the weekends when I'm out in the hood, down in South Philly, passing out literature about tattoo. And I will be doing that again this week, because we're still building, raising the awareness that, yes, we used to be at VAIR every 4th Wednesday and Di Silvestro every 2nd Wednesday of the month. But obviously, because of the pandemic, everyone's doing everything virtual, and so are we. We're still communicating. We haven't stopped. Tattoo has never stopped. All right. But some don't know about it, and I'm still trying to spread the word. So if you are viewing this and you have attended one of those sessions, please share. Let people know. Oh, Pastor Dave, he's still doing tattoo. Here's the YouTube channel. Now, and when we were physically together, it was only twice a month. Every 2nd Wednesday at Di Silvestro, every 4th Wednesday at VAIR. But now that we're virtual, we do it every Wednesday at 7. So you should put that on your calendar. It's a no-brainer. You have to wait for the notification. But again, I want you to get the notification. I want you to communicate with me. Get the Tattoo app on your phone and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Here we are, love and belonging. To be in a relationship, to be in relation of members. I might want to say that differently. To be appropriately or properly placed and situated. Unconditionally accepted, considered, and cared for, not based on merit. And merit is things that you do. Merit is what you have done to acquire the love or the belonging, if you will. But the love that I'm advocating for and let you understand is the love that's the unconditional love that you get from your family. You need to have that. Remember I said everyone needs love. It has a way of inherently to heal. Love heals. You could be hurt by many, many things. Some at the very most you experience it from your dog. They say dog's a man's best friend. Because his love toward you is unconditional. No matter what, you may have had a bad day, but as soon as you come in, the dog, he just wants to jump on you and lick you and be near you. And that feels good. It feels good. You like that. You take them out for a walk and you do things because you need that. Now, that's just a pet. But more importantly, your intermediate family, your mother, your father, your sisters, your brother, and other people who have been adopted into your reality, into your family. They may not be biologically brothers and sisters, but there's some who are just like that because they've always been around. And they're like, listen, man, I love you. I care for you no matter what. You don't have to do anything for me to love you, right? So when chips are down and you feel some kind of way, you have someone. And you need to have that. That has to be there. We'll talk some more about that. Esteem. Remember, I said a whole lot about that. To regard highly or favorably, regard with respect or admiration, consider the certain value in you. It's real important. With this self-esteem, it inherently creates other things. It prevents some things. We're going to build that also over time. And here we are. At the end of this, you self-actualize. The achievement of one's full potential through creativity, independence, spontaneity, and a grasp of the real world. If all you know is the basketball court and around a corner with your homies, that's not the real world. There's a bigger world than that. And sometimes, we be more inclined to repeat offend when our world is so small. Open up your world. You'll find out, first of all, you open up your world and invest yourself in it. It increases your own value. And the higher your value is, the less likely you will put yourself in harm's way. That's right. So that's what Tattoo is all about. It's tough answers, tough topics, often overlooked. Here we have Mahatma Gandhi, who says, "My life is my message." So listen, that's what we had for Tattoo tonight. Happy Thanksgiving to you. I hope that you are enjoying your week. I hope that you're safe. And our prayers are still going up for those who have lost loved ones due to the pandemic, have contracted this virus. I think we are up to, what's the number now? Over 120. It's higher than that now. Over 120,000. It's larger than that, 120,000. Within these past 6 months, people have died due to this virus. That's a large number. That's, I think it's, someone says 250,000, so 250,000 would be 250,000. That's right. I think that's the number. People have lost their lives in this short period of time. So our thoughts and our prayers go out to them, to the families who had to deal with that earlier in the year, because you couldn't have a normal funeral, and some loved ones had to die alone because they had that virus. They were quarantined. They're in the hospital. You can't come around them because they got that virus. So you can't stand around the hospital bed and give kisses and hugs, right? Sing songs and do all. No, they had to be in that hospital. You had to be somewhere else. It's a shame. But all you hear from the doctor. Can you imagine that? I can't even imagine that. Your loved ones there, they have that virus. You can't get in there. They're not allowing anyone in there. And you get a phone call that they passed. I'm not even sure. I don't know how that works. I don't even know if you get to see the body. They just deliver it to the coroner and then to the undertaker, and then maybe that's at the point where you can get to see and prepare for a funeral. It's a sad thing, y'all, because now we're here. We're in the holiday season, and you lost your loved one on those terms. So we're very mindful of that. All right. But at the same time, be thankful. Be thankful that you have your family and that you have the activity of your limbs and things like that. Let's stay connected with Tattoo. Again, give me some comments on our YouTube channel. Let me know you saw this. All right? It's Pastor Dave coming at you. Tattoo for life. Until I see you next time.